Yeah, yeah, la, 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 la. Yeah, ooh.
So we're about halfway through our hike. We're about half a mile up the mountain at this point, and we decided to kind of just sit down and have a little chat with you guys real quick. One of the things that we wanted to tell you guys a little bit about was the concept of being called to Hawaii. And when I started doing my book on how to move to Kona, I definitely had this feeling that I had a message to put in the book about the concept of people feeling energetic connection to this island. And when I did that, I was kind of afraid that people would think I was strange and weird. And what I heard was, write it anyway. So that's kind of why we're talking about this on video now. Yeah, you guys might think they were a little nutty, but you know what? It's true, and it's happening. And the call to the Hawaiian Island experience has been going on since we started moving here. When people started telling us why they came, so many people said they felt called to be here, and so many people said when they got off the plane they felt like they were home. And I even wrote in my first book back in 2014 that when we lived in Silicon Valley, I never once had anyone ever say they were called to Santa Clara County, and nobody ever said, "Boy, when I come to San Jose, I feel like I'm home."
So, all right, well, I can fill in a little story on that one. I grew up in the South Bay, San Jose area we were there for 30-something years, and I never said, "Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm completely attached to this space." It was just sort of a place where it was sort of, I consider it sort of a flat space, and I never felt, "Wow, this is great." But it was what we've always done, and I grew up there, so it was just kind of normal. But after coming to Hawaii, we spent our first year, we spent 1 year here. And it was just like, wow. And it was
Mail.
So we don't have an address where we can get U.S. Postal. We can get UPS and FedEx, but we can't get USPS.
We haven't tried getting FedEx or UPS.
Yeah, our neighbors have done it, but we haven't.
We haven't tried it yet. But basically, when you live where we live, this kind of area, you have to get a P.O. box, and the waiting time to get an actual box at your local post office could take over 2 years, because we applied about 2 years ago, and still nothing, so...
Yeah, and that's actually most places here don't get mail. Like, all the subdivisions, they don't get mail. So it's not... There are some places that do have mailboxes that get mail, and sometimes we send our mail to our friends in Hilo, and they get mail.
Number 2, walk barefoot. You can't walk barefoot here for various reasons. The main reason is because the ground is very rough in most places.
A lot of lava.
Yes, a lot of lava rocks. From our own experience, on our property, we cannot walk barefoot if we don't want to get cuts and scrapes all over our feet, because a lot of the weeds are sharp and razor bladey.
Razor grass.
And the sensitive grass has thorns all over it, and then the rest is just all cinder. We can't walk on that comfortably.
But even at the beaches, there's all lava there usually,
and if it's like Black Sand Beach, the sand gets really hot.
Still in Hawaii, and we are trudging along. It's been really challenging. I think we had so much energy and so much gumption to get it going when we first were moving out here. And this whole experience is thrilling, but I think it's really hard. Everything we're doing out here is really, really hard. And not just physically, like physically barreling through the forest, but mentally, right? We gave up our good jobs, our house, the comforts of modern society, whatever you want to call it, to willfully choose living off grid. But not just living off grid, being homeless and camping in a forest and showering out of a bucket of boiled water and just whatever, So anyway, we've covered everything we can with plastic so that if we do lose our canopy, then we won't. Hopefully our stuff will still be dry, hopefully. Yeah. Welcome to Hawaii. Can you hear the wind?
Us on our property here in Hawaii, building our dream together. During week 3, we learned quite a bit. We learned that our land slopes down here in Fern Forest. So our excavator showed up and our land just goes down from the road. So that's interesting. Well, as far as we know, because we didn't plow the whole 3 acres. We want to keep it as natural as possible, but we needed somewhere flat to put our home and for a driveway. So as far as we know, it slopes down. What else, baby?
It's true. It looks like it slopes, down. So, yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
In another sense, it just feels otherworldly and that we are living in a different world out here. You know, like the world that is created by the matrix of technology and commerce and society, civilization out in the mainland and even in places in Hawaii like Hilo or Kona or obviously Honolulu is just so in stark contrast to this. And it's something that I really urge everyone and anyone to experience some point in their lives, whether it's in Hawaii or the mainland where you're able to live in a rural setting, you know? I definitely think it's healing for the soul to live in a rural area. I really, truly do. And you'll interact with people differently. You will interact with nature differently. I can't promise you that you'll interact with technology differently, but I think the longer that you're away from it, the more that you will.